What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Nick with Leverage Media, and welcome to another episode of Path to a Million podcast. I'm here with my new friend. I feel like we've been friends for a long time on social media, but my new friend in person, Dr. Jordan Fairley. Dr. Jordan, say hello to the people.
Hello, people. Good to be here.
How are you doing today?
Near perfect, man. It's been a great day.
There you go. Near perfect. That's a good answer. So we were just talking about how this is my first interview in quite some time. So I'm excited to have you on here because I think that you will share a ton of nuggets and a lot of good value today. So for anybody who doesn't know who you are, give them a quick little introduction and then we'll dive right in.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nick. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I feel like this has been a long time coming since we were chatting about this, even when you very first started the podcast. So it's a pleasure, and I'm excited to be sharing with people. Again, my name is Dr. Jordan Fairley. I am in Oakland, California. I am the owner of the Source Chiropractic here in Oakland. I'm the COO of the Source Chiropractic franchise and the COO of Kairos Training Culture, a chiropractic training and performance business. And I'm also, I'm a dad, I'm a runner, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a content creator just like you. And so I'm excited to be able to start sharing so people can get some of those golden nuggets.
Absolutely. And you've got your son, I think it is trying to get into preschool at 4:00. So we got to be on the nose off at 3:55. So we may end up having to do a part 2 because I have a feeling that we're going to get into some good stuff today. So the Source, if a lot of people may have seen it, is it pronounced Kairos? Kairos. Brett Jones is your business partner in that. And so he's usually like the face of those two things, I feel like, when I see it. But the boots on the ground, the get shit done guy, that is Dr. Jordan. And so we are going to be, talking a lot about how we get shit done. The thing my favorite thing about the content that you've created that I've ever seen is when you got the muscle suit, where it's like the spandex where it's got all the muscles of the body. And I think I remember you telling me you had to order 6 of them to actually get one that was anatomically correct.
Yeah, man, I ordered that from overseas. I believe it's from Denmark, and it's coming from a bicycle company. It's actually in that little closet right over there. Nice. But I originally got this skin-tight muscle suit as a way to start to create online content for foam rolling. Yeah. And so I was doing all these educational videos for foam rolling, basically every single muscle in the body. And I thought, what would be awesome? I was sitting in the house with Dr. Brett Jones and Dr. Kate, and I was like, imagine this. You do your little intro. He's like, this is going to be a video on how we're going to show you how to foam roll the piriformis muscle. But first, I want to show you where the piriformis is. And then I had to switch into my muscle suit, and the idea just took off. I've been skiing in it. I've been adjusting in the office with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've seen, what's the one guy where it's he's a chiropractor and then his assistant is always shirtless, and they're God, I cannot remember what the name of their little thing is, but they used to draw the muscles on the guy's body, and then I think they evolved into a sticky thing. But
that's Move You or those guys on YouTube.
Yeah, Move You, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But it brings up a good point that when you're creating content, it's so important to figure out any way that can make you stand out in the feed, that can catch people's attention, because you've only got a couple of seconds, and if you're just standing up against a wall, no one cares. So
yeah, man. One of the worst things you could do when creating online content is to be boring.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to watch your stuff if you're boring. And so whatever you can do, if you have things popping off in the background, or you're all of a sudden shirtless, or you're wearing a muscle suit, whatever you can do to catch people's attention, that's how you get to actually share your message. So
exactly.
Try to get creative.
When you're boring, you're bored too. That is when content is the worst. When you're even bored doing it, you might as well just not do it. We were talking about whether you should be creating content just to do it or to actually move the needle forward. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So let's talk about, on the practice side, your path to $1 million practice. So you recently purchased the office, correct? Because Dr. Brett moved to Arizona. And so you are now helming the ship there.
Yep.
And you guys are currently over $1 million. So let's go through those 4 steps. Let's talk about, well, when you came onto the practice, he had been in practice for a year, correct?
He had been in practice for a year. He was in partnership with somebody else at a different location. And so then when I decided to join, he moved to where we're currently at. So they lost, 60, 70% of the clientele in that move. So we were basically starting from scratch.
All right.
Yeah, he had been in practice for about a year.
All right. So when you guys started the new office, what was that 0 to 250 like? What was it that allowed you guys, because you guys grew pretty quickly through those first 2 stages, 0 to 250, 250 to 500. What was it that allowed you to grow quickly through that 0 to 250 stage?
Yeah, the biggest thing is recognizing what the main need is, which at the time we needed cash. We needed money in our pocket. We had all his loans. I had $400 in my bank account when I graduated chiropractic school, and I live in one of the most expensive cities in the world. And so it was like, what can I do to actually get people into the door to get new patients? We didn't have Facebook ads at the time. We didn't have any of this other online marketing. And so for us, it was boots on the ground. We're doing talks anywhere and everywhere we possibly can. We're doing screenings 3 days a week, to the point where my girlfriend at the time did not want to be with me anymore. We're doing lunch and learns. We're doing going to businesses and just meeting the owners and going back to that same place 5 times in a row. It was like anything we possibly could to get new people in, because we didn't have a patient base and we didn't have money. And so it was recognizing that our main thing was we needed money. And so we got to go get patients because they bring in the money to the business. And so at that point, it was like, we're literally doing everything. For us, it was mostly talks and screenings. And there's so many learning curves along the way. So now we've had, 12, 13 associates, and we have everything systematized for how these people are coming in. And all of a sudden, like, my associate's bringing $30K this month, and it's his 2nd month. And so It's doing better now, but at the time it was like, we're just struggling to do everything possible.
Yeah. What was it that, like, give me the biggest takeaways for you like, what was the secret to either getting talks or closing talks and getting patients from that? And let's then do the same thing for screenings.
Yeah, man, this is huge. I want you to imagine that you're a business owner, which many of the people listening to this are. Somebody comes into your doors and they want to do a talk in your office because they want to get clients for their new supplement company, or they want to get clients to come to their gym, or they want to get clients to book into doing their massage service. And they're just talking about them and them and them and them and them. How is that going to help me as a business owner? Why should I have you talking to all my people and you're just going to take people out of my business?
Right.
So recognizing that, instead, our approach was, how can we add value to this business? And so we go in, we act interested, or we actually genuinely are interested. We are exciting, not boring people. We remember people's names, and we start to share how we can add value to that business. And so it's like, hey, you're a local supplement company. I want to come in. I imagine you have a lot of people that come in on a regular basis. I would love to come in and talk about the different types of supplements that I would recommend to help your body adapt to stress, right? Then in that talk, I'm doing something that then leads to how the nervous system and getting adjusted through chiropractic care can help you adapt to stress as well. And so first, I'm seeing, how can I add value to this business and their clients so that they actually want me to come in and help their business grow. And then with that, I'm also, again, sharing what it is that I do as a chiropractor too. So I think that's the biggest key, is how are you going to provide value to them rather than just trying to take?
Would you only go to businesses that were, kind of chiropractic adjacent, or how would you do that for like a bank if you were trying to get in there?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. It's first through building relationships. And so going in, building authentic connection, using that person's name. They usually always give you a card because they want your business in the future. Mm-hmm. And so hit them back up again. And then recognizing what the main needs are of that place. And so you're probably sitting at a desk all day on the computer. You're sitting, your shoulders are rounded forward, your head's forward. You probably get really tight up here. You probably have your wrists like this all day. Mm-hmm. I know a bunch of different ways that can add value to you and all of your employees to help them be able to feel better at work, to improve their posture, their work ergonomics in their chair, and to help them be able to be more lively with all of the different clients they have coming in.
Great. And then how about closing? Like what was the thing that helped you get people from the talk into the office?
Yeah, the biggest thing is again, bridging what it is that the original talk was about and those clients. So what are their needs? Through your whole talk, you're hopefully providing value of what it is that you do as a chiropractor, but then revisiting, like, these are all the pain points, the things that you were experiencing. This is why we had this talk, and we're bridging that to chiropractic. And so as what we do in our chiropractic office is blah, 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 and then value stack. This is what we do during our initial exam. So in order to start to help you, you'll come in, you'll do this, and this is going to give us a great picture in order to help you with those other things that we said.
So how quickly do you think you guys were at $20K a month in collections?
How quickly were we at $20K a month in collections?
So like on pace for 250,000.
Within the first 2 months, month or two.
So that happened fast. Like you guys were out beating the streets, getting in front of people, and you're getting people in. You guys had good processes in place. You were, great adjusters, getting results, and it started to snowball from there. So now with the 250 to 500 stage, was it more of the same? Were you just kind of continuing to do that, or as you got busier, were you guys starting to pivot a little bit? Did you bring on associates? Like what was the next stage?
So the main thing there, so I want to clarify, when I started, it was me and another guy, Dr. Josh Kaya, who is now in the Virgin Islands. So it was like me and him, boots on the ground, Dr. Brett, choosing which ones he wanted to do, but always there for different talks and stuff too.
Yeah.
So it was like a team of us. There's three of us. And so we were hungry. We were wanting to get started, get our hands on people. And so with that, our main focus after getting people in was then how can we keep these people? And so what can I do in terms of my systems, my communication, my inspiration, my energy, in order to retain people for like at least those first 12 visits.
Yeah.
And so we were working on the systems and how do we do that? And like you were saying, and we were doing all these different things and our systems were probably pretty good, but they weren't that great when we started. We're the type of people that are always trying to make everything better. And so even though now we're at $1 million, like how can I continue to make this thing better? And so it's like continuing to make our progress exam systems better, our end of care systems better, always constantly thinking back and forth. And I think this is way better when you have a team, because you have all these people that you're relaying information back and forth, and you are discussing like, well, I did this and that worked really well. Well, I did this too, and that worked really well. It's like, okay, let's start doing more of that. And so that was more of like a refining of our systems. And the main key there was with retention.
Got it. What do you think is kind of a minimum, or I guess what would be a healthy PVA for a practice that is in growth mode? What should people be kind of shooting for?
It's going to be different based off of every single person's cost per visit.
Okay. Let's say
I think the initial phase that your PVA should be over 50% of your per visit price.
Over.
And so
say that
if I'm charging $60 a visit,
yeah.
Patient visit average. I thought you were like cost. Cost.
Yeah.
What is a good patient visit average?
To have like a practice that's growing versus you're always having to replace people with new patients that are leaving.
Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to grow, it has to be over 50%. It has to be 75% or more. Right. Otherwise, you're just staying stagnant. If I have 10 new people are coming in, and at the end of that month and they're leaving and I'm just replacing them with 10 more people, then I'm not actually growing. I'm just staying the same.
Yeah.
And so I'd say about 75% or more.
All right. One thing that I notice on, because I follow the source on Facebook, that Dr. Brett is he's so good at making adjusting videos, and he's so good at, like, I will sit there and I'll watch him adjust for like 8 minutes before I realized that I'd been watching him. I'm like, why am I watching somebody adjust someone for 8 minutes? Like, and it's like 75% of the video is not even adjusting. It's just like, you know, like walking between 3 people to music. So he, I think, is really good at like captivating people, getting people to watch. Like he's an interesting looking guy. He's a great communicator. So when he was in the practice, or I'm sorry, when he was like creating content for the practice in Oakland, especially towards the end, I don't know how much he was actually seeing the patients that would come in, but I would guess that those videos would do a good job of like attracting people. And I get this a lot with doctors who are trying to grow. They're trying to get kind of like where I'm at, to where they're growing the brand of the practice versus themselves, to where they're always the one that has to, like, can I see Dr. Nick? Can I see Dr. Brett? How did you guys handle that? Because I would imagine that he got a lot of, hey, I only want to see Dr. Brett. How did you handle that situation?
We actually didn't get very much of that.
Oh, well, I would have called in and been like, I watch it.
So we have a difference in our marketing. And so the marketing, so a lot of what people see outward facing on the internet, if you just saw some of our videos that were posted on the Source Chiropractic or on his big YouTube channels or on Instagram, we're doing all that stuff in order to build long-term community and relationships and brand exposure. But what we're putting out in terms of content to the local community is going to be much more different.
Got it.
And so that's where we're showing all of the faces in our office. We're showing a lot of diversity. And yes, there's going to be people that are coming in and like, I want to get adjusted by that guy because that's the guy I saw in the video. And now I'm getting this a ton as the owner of our business and having mostly my videos going out. But what we found is that people want to just be in that environment as the primary. And then we would also just say, hey, you know what? Dr. Brett's booked. We have Dr. Jordan. We have Dr. Claudia. We have Dr. Malcolm. Which is one of these times work better for you to see one of them? We're like, yeah, that works fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't as much people trying to say they only want to see that guy.
Yeah. I kind of knew what the answer was just because it's just like, as soon as you say, oh, he's not accepting new, like when they call and ask for me, cause I'm still in videos, when they call and ask for me, oh, well, Dr. Nick's not seeing new patients right now, but Dr. Rob and Dr. Pat are available. Well, I haven't seen new patients for 10 years, but we're not seeing new patients right now. It's still, technically true. So I just wanted people to hear that it's not like the end of the world for you to be in the videos if you aren't wanting to see patients.
This is huge too for people who are wanting to scale to other locations. So right now we're going through the process of franchising our office. So we got a spot in Denver. We'll have a spot in Arizona where Brett will be within the next couple of months. I'll have a couple spots in Florida pretty soon. But what we found is like I'm still running all of Brett and his wife, Dr. Kate's ads in our local community, and they're still popping off and people are coming in because of those videos, and literally nobody is asking for them. And so if you find something that's hitting, that's working really well and it's converting, why not just continue to use that in your other locations when you're trying to scale in your community?
I do love your guys' content. I think that you guys do a really good job of like creating a vibe with the content that you create. What are some tips that you can give for docs out there that are wanting to create more content and not just like create it and post it on their page, but like get it out into the community, spend money on it, get conversions, get people walking through the door?
Yeah, my number one tip is to create content that meets people where they're at. And so every single practice and the philosophy of how they practice is going to be completely different. You got the people who are completely innate intelligence focused. You got people who are completely evidence-based focused. You got people who are trying to elevate like people's consciousness on one level. People are just trying to help get people out of pain. And there's this whole space in between.
Yeah.
Most people tend to focus all of their communication on their highest level of where they're trying to get people to go, rather than focusing all of their initial marketing on where people are at, and then knowing that your systems and once they're in care will help you get them to where they want to go. So just as an example, in our office, we have 5 primary phases of care. First one is that they're having some type of pain and or symptom. The second is that there's some type of dysfunction in the body. And so there's dysfunction that's leading to the pain and symptoms. The third is that they're in the adaptation phase. So you're having some type of dysfunction. It's leading where you want to improve your function, but it leads to greater levels of expression. So you're not in pain and having those symptoms anymore. But ultimately, like, your body's going to go through these stages of adapting to the things that we are doing. Fourth phase would be higher levels of perception. And then fifth phase has higher levels of consciousness. And for people who think that word is weird, it's just higher levels of awareness. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be doing all these different things, talking about higher levels of perception and awareness, when I know that most of the people in my community think of chiropractic in the terms of pain, or I want to get rid of my shoulder pain, or I want to get rid of my neck pain, or I want to get rid of my knee or my hip. Yeah. I'm creating content that meets people where they're at with their low back or their hip. I'm talking about how, as a chiropractor, I'm assessing this and finding this can help people get out of that. And then I might mention the next part, which is then the second with that is the second part of the dysfunction. So I need to flip their current mindset of just the pain and symptoms. And I might throw in a little bit of that third part of the adaptation phase. Sure. But I'm meeting people there, recognizing that this is where culturally society thinks of where we are. And this is the thing that people are wanting to get out of, or they're wanting help with. And so I'm making all my content there, getting them in the door. And then all of my communication, day one, day two, is helping them go along that process. All of my communication through their care plans and the automated email marketing and our events and everything is going to those higher levels of what we do. And so you have to create content where meeting people where they're at. And the number one thing I see is typically people just show a picture with some type of discounted offer. And that's not usually meeting people where they're at, unless they already know, like, I want to see a chiropractor. Yeah. And that's in front of their face. Then they're going to bite, but they're not typically, if they're not even aware of chiropractic and how that can help the things that they're experiencing, right, you're probably not going to come into your office.
Yeah. I always say that, like, when you are running a coupon offer, you're talking to the 10% that already, like, knows that chiropractic is a thing that they can utilize.
Yep.
Content, though, opens up that other 90%.
Yep.
And the problem with the $21 new patient special is, every time somebody is like, if I see that they're running that, I'm like, how many of your service providers, healthcare providers do you choose because a coupon popped up in your feed? And they always say none, but then they want their, like, Range Rover mom of 3 walking through the door with their printed out $21 coupon. I'm like, that you're just like fishing in the wrong pond, bro. So you and I are brothers of a different mother on that one. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I mean, the coupon thing can work too, and
you have to make an offer. It just doesn't need to be $21, and that's the only thing that they ever see from you.
Right. I was gonna say, though, expand on that a little bit. The coupon thing can work, but it was huge this whole last year. And I've also seen how it quickly fizzles out and you saturate the market because people have seen it and they're either going to bite or they're not going to bite. Yeah. And you're not doing anything to meet the rest of the 90%, like you're talking about.
Well, you guys have also, like, it works. I think it works well for people that have actually built a brand because you've been adding value for a long time through content. Then it's like when they see an offer to come in, then it's, you've added value. Maybe they've watched 10 of your videos before they ever see an offer. And that's, priming the pump a whole lot better than just blasting the same people 5,000 times with the same dumb offers. So, all right. So we got to, 250 to 500 was really about refining the systems, figuring out how to keep people so you're not just always having to replace them. And you told me before we hopped on here that you guys kind of got stuck at that 500 to 600 stage for a couple of years. Talk to me about getting stuck there, and then what was the breakthrough that allowed you to grow to that $1 million practice?
Yeah, so we were stuck there primarily because we were having a lot of our associates leave. We, as business owners, we were hiring our friends who we had great relationships with, and we knew they were awesome people and great adjusters. But we were hiring people who didn't have any intention of building a practice and staying. Yeah. And so we have one guy who came on, he trained he was there for 3 to 6 months. Then he left to San Francisco. We had another guy who come on, he was there for 6 months to a year. Then he left to move somewhere else. And this happened many times. And then we're like, we got to look down of what is the biggest need for our office. And the biggest need was consistency. And so we talked about the biggest need being retention. Now the next part is then being consistency so that you can actually build a clientele. And so for us, then we started doing 1 to 2 year contracts at the minimum for all of our associates. And so then we brought in these associates. We knew they were going to be there for at least 1 to 2 years. And then we're continuing to dial in our systems even more to where we had already had 3 to 4 years of knowing what were the big events that would hit in town. What are the different groups that you can be a part of that'll get people in quick? Yeah. What is the type of marketing internally that we're starting to do that's working really well? This is before Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And so then because we had the systems in place from our marketing standpoint too, we knew where to send our new associates. And so then they're coming in, and instead of it taking me 3 years to hit 20K for the first time, now we have these associates that are 15, 20, 30Ks within the first few months of practice.
That's amazing.
And so that was consistency was the big thing. Systemization and training for our associates was the next thing. So all of these people, like Brett and I, sat down and we laid out an entire 6-month training program for our associates.
Yeah.
And so it was like, what do they need to know right away? What do they need to know in the next stage? Which then that's allowing us, we didn't know it at the time, but that was allowing us to set the blueprint for franchising. And so now I can bring in an intern or a peak doc. They're going to do their 3 months of training. They're going to go through everything that was a condensed 6 months of training. And now we can set them out knowing that this has been shown to work over time. And now our expectation is to be a $1 million practice within 2 years for new people.
That's great. Because I would imagine that you guys attract kind of the best of the best, the people that are coming to learn to go do it on their own. Is that right?
Yes. We're attracting the people who are involved primarily with Kairos training culture.
Yeah.
And the standards, we have this whole big 1-pager of the standards that it requires even to apply. But the people that we want to come in, we want them to be with us long term.
Gotcha.
What me as the COO, I kept saying, like, why am I going to continue to put energy into this thing that then is just going to go elsewhere?
Yeah.
I want to put energy into something that's going to grow the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I'm like you. Like, I want to get associates. Franson always talks about it as like the sports car, the pickup truck, and I think the van or something. I can't remember what the second one is or the third one is. But the sports car are the ones that they're coming in, they're going to learn the systems, and then they're going to go build their own $1 million practice over here, which is fine. Like Jeff Danielson with Big Fish coaching, he tries to bring those people in, telling them, like, listen, you're going to work for 2 years, and then we're going to set you up in a practice. We're going to be partners in it. Then you buy me out and you're good to go. And it's like a win-win for everybody, but it's very upfront. Where I feel like people get into trouble is where they're looking for the long-term associate, but they're trying to attract the sports car. And it's just like you've got two people with two completely different sets of wants and needs. And it's why the associate process, I think, is such a frustration for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think, that's a great follow-up to your last question too, because it's also recognizing the type of person. So people can meet certain requirements, but is this the person like you, Dr. Nick, who is more of the CEO, the more of the visionary who wants to own the business? Yeah. Or are you more the person who would be a great workhorse? Yeah. Their primary need is safety and security, and they want to be a part of a team.
Yep.
That is a person who I'm probably going to hire more long-term to be an associate, versus somebody who is the race car, somebody who wants to own their business right away, somebody who is extremely magnetizing and outspoken. Yeah. That's somebody who I could train really quickly and then go just set this bird free and let them go explode their practice in some local community or some other city.
Yeah. Right? So are you, is the idea with the franchise to still be able to attract the sports car and set them up with a franchise location? Yeah. And people that are looking more for the long term, we've got a home for you here in Oakland or in Arizona or wherever you guys are going to have the corporate locations.
Yeah. And so it's looking for wanting to be able to attract the sports car so that they can then go be a new Source Chiropractic hub or business owner in some big city around the world. and then bring in the people who are going to help that practice become $1 million practice as soon as possible. And so that would be with our current systems. We think an office with 3 to 4 chiropractors, that type of team environment is pretty ideal for meeting the millennial need for freedom and meeting the needs for being in part of a community. It's like we were going to bring the people, recognize where their best fit is, what are their main needs and goals, go put them in an awesome associateship position.
Yeah.
And then, or the people who are going to go open up a practice. I also think, one of the greatest things to keeping an associate is they need constant inspiration and empowerment, and you also need to pay them well. And so I currently have 4 associates in our office. All 4 associates are making over $100,000 a year. Yeah. Based off of, it's not salary. It's based off of percentage and bonus structure. Yeah. And so they know that they're getting paid very well. And with the constant work that we do outside of the office, our weekly meetings, our monthly meetings, everything is constantly building an environment that is fun to be a part of. Mm-hmm. And that people are constantly also buying into the long-term vision. So that it's empowering them. And so if people are not feeling empowered, they're not feeling inspired, and they also see other associates getting paid more than them, why are they going to want to continue to work for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that especially with the younger generation coming out of chiropractic school now, that culture is going to become more and more of an important piece. I'm so bad about focusing on that. I'm just can't we just all just show up and do the thing and have to have the rah-rah, but it's important, and people want to feel a part of a team. They want to feel a sense of community, which we do have in my practice and with Leverage Media, but it more naturally comes than me trying to manufacture it. So luckily, because I would be terrible at manufacturing it. So we have going from the 500 to 1,000. That was you guys had the marketing in place. You were holding people, or you were keeping people in the office. It was more about just saying, okay, we need to stop cycling through associates, and we need to get our team, build that culture, and move the ball forward. Now you've got the $1 million practice. What's the big challenge right now, and where are you guys focused on that'll allow you to go to 1.5, $2 million a year, if that's where you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, we're on track right now for 1.3 for this year. We replaced the primary owner. Dr. Brett left. His wife, Dr. Kate, left. We have another doctor leaving next week to go open up her spot in Florida. So I just hired 3 new associates.
Wow.
And so for me, it was continuing to empower them, and it's more of this is now an expectation, right? You're learning from our 6 years of mistakes and lessons learned to where now you don't have to make those mistakes anymore. And so you have a question, we have weekly doctor meetings, we're continuing to share, this is what's worked the best. And so it's mostly been empowerment, setting goals that are fun and achievable. And so our goal, even though we're on track for 1.2, 1.3, our goal was I'm bringing the entire team to Mexico if we're $1 million office. And so every single week we're talking about, we end our weekly meeting. Where are we going on 3? 1, 2, 3, Mexico, right? I've recognized what are the big points for every single individual team member of what inspires them. What do they want to achieve this quarter? What do they want to achieve this year? And I'm making that their bonus structure rather than just thinking that everybody wants a payment being their bonus structure. Yeah. And so we're connecting on stuff like that. And then I'm also getting all of them involved in the content as well. And so with, historically all the content was primarily me and Brett. Now we have all these new associates. And so our quarterly rocks for this last year was to shoot 3 new videos for every single one of our new associates so that their face is also getting out to the community, which I think is going to help build their new practices a lot faster. And I think having all of our associates be at the level where Dr. Brett and I were, that alone will get us to 1.3, 1.5.
Yeah.
And so Brett was, we had 4 docs in the office. but he was like 35% of the business. He was seeing patients the entire time. I was, 25, 30% of the business. And then the other associates were that 10, 15 range. Yeah. But what if all of our docs were at the same level that I have been at? And so how can I continue to empower them to be at the same level or better than me as the owner?
Yeah. What do you, you've been through 12 associates, no, not through, but you've had 12 associates. And what would you say is the thing that you look for that really allows them to thrive, right? And it doesn't have to be like in the hiring. It's just like, maybe it's once they've started, what is it that you're looking for from that associate where it's like, if I see this, I know it's going to be a home run?
Yeah. I want somebody who is hungry and knows that they're getting paid based off of the value that they bring to the office. Mm. So I'm not just with our payment. It's not salary. Like I said, it's tiered, percentage based. Yeah. And so there's no ceiling to what my associates can make. And they know if the more harder you work, the more you put yourself out in the community, the better your communication is and the events that you do internally, your practice is going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And
so, but that only happens if you have the desire to actually want to make your practice bigger. And so I'm saying that to them, like, as a business owner, I want somebody who wants to get paid based off of the value that they bring into the office.
Yeah.
If you're bringing more value, you're going to get a higher percentage.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like you run into an issue where you're looking for those people that want security and stability, and that's who you want to keep long-term, but then the pay structure is really built for people like me? Like I used to have a commission sales job selling women's shoes, and I was the best women's shoe salesman there's ever been because all I focused on was like making as many sales as possible, because my brain works that way to where it's like, okay, if I do more of this, I make more of that. Other people that were in the same department that would see what I would do, they still liked to just like spend an hour with one person and help them try on the shoes and da. And do you ever feel like there's an issue there to where the people that you're looking for maybe don't thrive in a percentage-based world?
Yes. And that's why we don't have some of the associates anymore.
Fair enough. You're trying to find the unicorn that likes the security, but also wants the.
Yeah. With a awesome side effect to what we do with Kairos training culture and what we do at the Source Chiropractic is people go through massive amounts of personal growth that they start to realize that they can do a lot of things that they thought were limiting before, limiting beliefs, and that they couldn't do. And so I have an associate right now who, when she came on, she was our exam doc for a year because she knew like that's the need of the office. There's currently not a spot for another associate, but there will be once these other people leave. So she was just like a workhorse. I'm going to do this to help the office. She joins the office and she continues to go to all of our different events. We continue to talk about what is most important to you and where do you want to actually go in your life. And she says a certain thing. And I'm like, really? You could totally do this, this, or this. Yeah. And then she starts to get that in her head and you start to see her perk up. So you feed that more into her. And she's like, well, I want to go open up my own business too. And I'm like, that's awesome. And as a business owner, I'm realizing I need some people who are just consistent there for a long time.
Yeah.
And so how can I empower her and say, yes, you could go open up your own business. And what would make you really want to stay here? Because I want you to be a part of my team here for a long time.
Yeah.
So that is a side effect of the work. And it's also a good problem to have that I'm starting to realize.
Yeah. It's like you grow them into too good of a people.
Yes.
Yeah. Real quick on, you know what, we've only got 5 minutes left, so I want to make sure that we hit on this. So you are the COO for the training program and for the franchise. There was a lot of CEOs that listen to this podcast, and I don't get to talk to enough COOs and people that are kind of hardwired for that, to get shit done. What is it that, as a COO, what is it that makes it easy for you to be great at your job? Like, how could a chiropractor that is out there listening, who maybe is more of that visionary type person, how can they set up their COO or their office manager for success?
First, they have to be bought into the long-term vision. They also have to see how their payment will continue to grow as the business continues to grow, because it's often the CEO that makes the most money,
right?
Which they should, but also you need to pay your if you got a good COO, you got to pay them well,
right?
And you have to give them the freedom to be able to recognize, like, what are the primary needs of this business and to continue to work towards those. And so basically, as a COO, from what my perspective is, basically a filter for all of your CEO awesome ideas and visions and goals and things you're wanting to work on next. It's like, yes, that is an awesome idea. I got a whole whiteboard back here that's just constantly being filled with ideas.
Right.
But what is going to fit right now? What is the thing that's going to help build where we're currently at and is in alignment with the things that we're trying to do? So it's like being a filter of all these ideas, figuring out how it works. And then when your COO says, that's an awesome idea, I think we should table this for such and such a date. Or can you explain to me how that actually fits into all these other things that we said we were going to work on last month?
Right.
You know, you need to listen and be more of a partnership as opposed to a CEO who typically just like tells them, I need to get this done, this done, this done. It needs to be a partnership that's working together.
So, because the what I'm kind of looking for and what I'm hearing is that you need to make sure that you're empowering those COOs to make sure that they speak up and they pull the reins and pump the brakes. But when they do that, that you actually listen and you don't just like blow right through it.
Yes.
Because I would guess that can be disheartening and can kind of take the wind out of a good COO sail if they know that the CEO is just going to like run them over anyway.
It would be, it'd be frustrating. It was like, dude, I have all of these things in my mind of where we're going. This is what we talked about, what we're going to be doing and how it's going to work. And now you're saying you're going to completely flip the script and do this other new plan. It's like, we got to have some stability and structure, and which is one of the main roles of a COO. And something that just came to mind is a COO, a good one, can't be a yes man.
Right.
And so typically a great CEO is a visionary. They're magnetizing. They're typically surrounded by people who are like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. But the COO has to also know when to say no.
Yeah.
Or not yet, or be a person that is there as like a mirror for that person in order to recognize, like, is that really the best move, or can we do it this other way? Instead of just being another person who's just going to agree with everything that you think is a good idea.
Yeah, that's the last thing that I need is like, I'm already convinced that my ideas are great. I need other people to tell me that they're great. I need like pushback. I need like another way to look at things. Well, Jordan, I want to make sure that we get you on that phone call so that your kid actually gets into the right preschool. So anything that we didn't cover that you think that a listener out there might really be able to latch onto?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that I want to share. And so if people like this episode and they want to hear more, let Dr. Nick know and we'll do another episode. The biggest thing I would like people to know is to have clarity with where you want to go. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing I see within the chiropractic profession is people are constantly telling you their vision and trying to make it yours rather than thinking what is most authentic, congruent, and inspiring to me. And then how can I continue to do more of that?
Yeah.
And if you can find out what's really true for you, then you know exactly the path, you know when something's resonating with you and you can go down that path. And then the next piece that I would say this profession needs more than anything really is systems.
Yeah.
I don't care what your philosophy is or what type of practice you want to have. You have to systematize it. Otherwise, you're just going to continue to be that hamster spinning on the wheel going nowhere.
I totally agree. Every stage of growth in my life has been attached to putting more systems into place. So, Jordan, we're definitely going to have a part 2. We've got so much more to get into, but I really do appreciate your time today. It was great getting to talk to you in person, and we will see you guys on the next episode.